Want to know why? Ask how. Howard, the humongous. This is a little episode on writing your multiple personalities, on surfing the multiple currents of yourself, on riding a chariot with 7 horses, you. And every one of those 7 horses is guess who? It's you. This is going to take us back to something we've discussed in the past, so bear with me. Remember about 3.5 years ago, Bradley Manning leaked his information to Wikipedia and was slapped in irons and stuck naked in solitary confinement in a jail cell. In the beginning, because I'm very aware of Islamic extremism, very aware of a nonstop war that's been going on between militant Islam, jihadism, and all the world, not just even the West, not just America, the entire world. It includes Southeast Asia, Eastern Asia, and even Africa. That's a war between Islam and the rest of the world ever since Muhammad declared that the world belonged to Islam, period, and God was handing the whole thing over. So we need security, right? And Bradley Manning was disabling us from a security point of view. Bradley Manning was playing into the hands of the enemy. Bradley Manning was playing into the hands of Al-Qaeda. Well, that's what this part of my brain thought. But there was, in other words, the verbal part of my brain, the rational part of my brain, the part of my brain that can express itself in words. But something weird was going on. There was another part of my brain that did not feel that way at all, but it was a part of my brain that doesn't express itself in words and couldn't get its message across to me. It became clear only over 3 years where that brain was. And 3 years later, that brain began to express itself. Where was that brain? That brain was in my gut. And that brain was dedicated to an entirely different proposition. It was dedicated to the idea that America is a nation based on freedom of speech. It was a brain that was dedicated to the notion that I am based on freedom of speech. It was based on the notion that somehow Bradley Manning had done something profoundly, amazingly, unbelievably right. And one day, those two brains, God knows how, got in touch with each other. And the two brains had a meeting of some strange kind. I do not understand how they did it. And the gut brain said, look, I have a handle on truth that you, the rational brain, the verbal brain, do not have. And what has been done to Bradley Manning is wrong. And that is the day that I went to whitehouse.gov to sign any petition whatsoever that said that Bradley Manning should be freed. That was the day I discovered there was no petition saying that Bradley Manning should be freed, and I wrote one. There are many times when you are riding the backs of multiple selves. There are many times when you are trying to surf yourself. Think of when you are trying to do a homework assignment or some work that you've taken home. One part of your brain wants to turn on the TV and watch the NFL. Another part of your brain wants to go to the bathroom. Another part of your brain wants to go to the kitchen and make something to eat. Another part of your brain simply wants to pick up a magazine, and another part of your brain wants to go to sleep. How many times has that happened to you? It happens to me all the time. It's a second-to-second proposition. Now, in the days of Abraham Lincoln, when one of the major intellectuals of the time was trying to figure out how Lincoln pulled off what seemed to be miracles of political acumen, he brought up a metaphor, and the metaphor was rafting on the Mississippi River, which was a big thing in those days. Mark Twain would do it not long after. It would be written up in Huckleberry Finn. And you got a whole bunch of logs together, and you roped them together, and you stood on the logs for God knows how many days or weeks in order to get down the Mississippi. And the Mississippi is a treacherous river, and it has 15 different currents tugging at your raft simultaneously. And some of those would tug your raft into a whirlpool that would destroy your raft and your life utterly. Others are currents that would take you down the river. And you, by feeling the logs beneath your feet, have to feel out the currents and make sure that you avoid the ones that would take you to destruction and you find the ones that will take you to New Orleans. You are doing that every minute of the day, riding herds on so many different selves, it's ridiculous. And the art of discipline, the art that allows you to get things done, the art that allows you to proceed down your own Mississippi towards your own personal long-term goals, that kind of discipline takes an enormous amount of intuitive feel for the seven selves, the many currents in your own amazing soul.